Thank you, Martin. Friends, it's my pleasure and honor to moderate this session on smart cities. I'm sure you will enjoy the 1 hour 15 minutes of discussion, and they'll be learning from both sides. Friends, I would say the smart city is one of the smartest initiative of the government of India. It has triggered a lot of aspirations, enthusiasm, and it is going to attract a lot of investments. The key challenge is how do we make it happen? It has the potential to completely transform India, transform Indian cities, and it can drastically improve the quality of life in India. But the most fundamental point, another unique thing about the smart city is it got well accepted when the definition itself is not clear. Okay. I'm sure everybody here is also equally a smart person. For every smart person, there is one smart definition. And there are 100 guys here on the room, there are 100 definitions. And it is going to be a Herculean task to measure the smart city performance. So in a way, there is a huge expectations have been raised on this aspect. I think there is a need to moderate this also. Having said this, there is need to have some start somewhere with respect to smart city definition. And if really, what can be the easiest and simplest and most acceptable and less debatable definition? I think this is a point that always will come to mind. If you really see why people come to a city, people come to a city because just looking for jobs. Why should urban population should go from rural area to urban area? The fundamental aspiration is to look for a job. So one of the main aspects of a smart city is to catalyze jobs, enable jobs, it has to create jobs. I think that's a very, very key point, needs to be understood. The second point is, after having provided the job, what is the next important priority in a smart city? Next important priority is the productivity of the people. How do you make the life inside more productive, make it more comfortable for him? If you see productivity, I think the easiest example that can be understood from Bombay. You take a city of Bombay, all the offices are the southern side of Bombay, all the residential areas are northern side of Bombay. It looks like a wave in the morning, 1 to 1.5 hours of travel towards the south. All the buses, all the trains, every train will be overcrowded, and people waste a valuable time about 1 to 1.5 hours traveling towards south to the offices. And the wave goes back in the reverse direction in the evening. And if you take an average man, he loses about 2 to 3 hours of valuable life in terms of traveling going per day, going up and down. And what he achieves is just, he has gone to the office. That's it. So in other words, the productivity of the people matters a lot. It has also an impact on the governance. If somebody has to wait in the queue for one hour or 2 hours to get something registered, I don't think it may be called smart. I think this is also another chance. So in other words, ICT can play a major role. The mobility also can play a major role in terms of making the people more productive. Okay, now you have achieved something like job, then you have got something to do with productivity. The third important aspect in a smart city, which you are trying to focus, is in terms of quality of life. The quality of life is fundamentally determined by the type of infrastructure we have, and also if you take the health and the quality of life together, then something called the green space, open space. What is the percentage open space in a city? That matters a lot. If you take a city, even Delhi may not even cross 17 to 18%. Only some parts of Delhi might be high. The best might be Bangalore, something like about 19 to 20%. Bangalore was more than 35% once. For a city to be healthy, for the people inside the city to be healthy, the city should have minimum 30% green cover. One of the interesting study done in the city of London, they compared the pockets of London which having more than 30% green cover and having less than 30% green cover. One of the interesting point they found, the people who are staying in areas lesser than 30% green cover had actually more doctor bills. That means they saved money and actually ultimately paid it to doctor. So in other words, the health of a city gets drastically compromised if you do not have the green cover. So this is another important point that needs to be mentioned. Now, the most important point of a smart city is to deliver all these aspects on the ground. If you really look details of the smart city, how do you make it on the ground? I would say the one most fundamental aspect is the issue of financing of the smart city. I have talked to several experts. He says, if there is a business case, all the financial experts have one common agreement. If there is a business case, money will come automatically. Now the challenge is, how do we make a business case out of this? Really look into the concept of green buildings. Today India stands number 2 in the world. We started as one building as 20,000 square feet. Today India has more than 3,200 projects amounting to 3.2 billion square feet, which makes India the second largest in the world. This has been fundamentally achieved because the green buildings made good business sense. As simple as this. The incremental cost is in the region of about 3 to 5%, and the payback periods we are talking about 2 to 3 years. So in other words, the idea of the smart city is how do we make pockets of excellence which makes good business sense, which attracts investments and making smart city a reality. I think these are the type of challenges we have. So friends, to debate on these points, we have extraordinary panel members here. And we have representative from the government, we have representative from the infrastructure industry, we have representative from ICT and IT enabled services industry. So you could have volley of thoughts coming to you, and we would love to listen a lot of ideas and a lot of questions from your side. To start with, what we felt was that by and large we are trying to make this as a more of an interactive panel. First, we would love to have Mr. Rajiv Ranjan Mishra, Joint Secretary of Ministry of Housing and Urban Poverty Alleviation. He will be making a presentation on the status of smart city and with respect to housing sector. So we will have the honor of listening to him. Then we will take on in terms of the panel discussion. Sir, we would now request you to come and make the presentation. Please give a big hand and welcome Mr. Mishra ji.